From Julio Cruz and Gaylord Perry to Alvin Davis and Harold Reynolds to father and son back-to-back bombs. From Junior J, Joey, and Edgar with Randy, A-Rod, Dan, and the Sheriff to Ichiro Moyer and Mikey C to King Felix, Kyle Cruz, and Cano to the present with Julio, Gilbert, Kirby, and Cal. I don't believe it. It just continues. My, oh my, it's another sports podcast.
Yes, I'm ready when you are.
My oh my, we finished the Major League Baseball season. Football's in full swing. You might have some grumpy, disgruntled co hosts today because the Mariners are mediocre. The Eagles are ineffective. The Huskies are horrible. The Seminoles suck. But regardless of all that shit, you know we're going to rep the M's from Nashville down to Albuquerque up to Little Lake Stevens and everywhere in between. Got to give a giant shout out to Vaden Podcast Services. Vaden Podcast Services, they're the ones that make this show come to life. We got to give a huge shout out to all the homies in the live chat. We appreciate each and every one of you jumping on every Sunday evening or Saturday, if it may be. But y'all know, my oh my, we can't, we won't, and we don't stop. RG, hit us with the sure shot.
Got some feedback in the I'm coming off the other system. Forgive me, forgive me, forgive me. Nah, man, we in the building tonight. We in the building. Oh man. Rule number 7. This one's really underrated. Keep your family and business completely separated. Money and blood don't mix like two dicks and no bitch. Find yourself in serious shit. We'll skip one. Number 9 should have been number 1 to me. Because if you ain't getting bags, say the fuck from police. Oh man, it's time to go to work, baby. It's time to go to work. Let's put the nail in the coffin of the 2024 Mariners, man.
Well, I have a feeling, bro, that people are going to be all over the map on their emotions when it comes to this season. To me, it just feels really mediocre. We had highs, we had lows, we had firings, we had hirings, we had a ton of guys underproduce. We had a couple guys come up big. Our starting pitching staff was fantastic. There's a lot of ways you could look at this season, RG. Sum it up for me, bro.
162 games of what could have been. Just I did some research, and granted, we did blow a 10-game lead, but it doesn't even make the annals of the worst blown leads in the history of Major League Baseball. So for one, that's relieving to me. But just it almost felt like we were being set up to be here. And I just can't let go of that feeling. We had a chance to make some splashes in free agency. We let the root sports deal completely throw that. And let's just be honest, what Stanton and Jerry are good at is making the organization money, but Stanton doesn't believe in taking that money and investing in better product. It was obvious all year that we needed impact, and we didn't really get impact. We got band aids to stop a hemorrhage,
Mm-hmm.
and that never really works. We wasted the effort of a great pitching staff. Cal had a fantastic year. Cal had a fantastic year. Julio absolutely regressed. And yeah, he ended the year in his last 30 games hot. But in order for us to get to where we're going to be, we need 100 games of that. Just looking at the stats, Manny Machado from the All Star break until now has had a better year than Julio did all season. Even if you shrink down the season, even Mookie Betts has played half a year and had better of a season than Julio did. For a guy that we're paying $12 million a year to, and that $12 million bumps up to $20 million next year.
Mm-hmm.
Need more professional effort. Hope they get something to make it right, but I'm not going to hold my breath.
Okay. Okay. Well, I think there's a lot more in that guy. He's only 23. I just hope that he can carry over what he did to finish the season like you were referencing into next year cuz we can't have these terrible starts, man. And we can go deep in the weeds in a minute because Today is one of those days where I really pack the notebook. Some weeks it's not really stat driven for me, but at the end of the season, that's when you can really let the 162 games play out, see how the guys did, what does it look like. I mean, 85 and 77 on the surface, that's not bad. That's pretty good. It's a 3 game decrease since last year. It's definitely off. I predicted a 92 win team, and that means I thought we could be 4 games better. But all the underproduction, and I forgot one of my sayings. I always say, bro, I forgot the progression isn't linear. I was planning on every single young player keeping an upward trajectory, like every single dude would have kind of had a Cal type of season. And clearly that didn't freaking happen.
No.
So we got to look at the players. I know I'm disappointed in the front office. I'm disappointed in ownership, but the players got to own up to just not coming through the way they needed to. I mean, we're 49 and 32 at home. You think that's going to be enough to get the job done, but we're pathetic on the road at 36 and 45. We get eliminated and then sweep Oakland, win 4 straight games to end the season. But is that not typical Mariners to win the last 4 games after you've been eliminated? But I just want to look really quickly because I've been tracking this ever since we fired DeHart and Service, dude. The team was 64 and 64 under Service at 3.9 runs per game. Since we hired Dan Wilson and Edgar Martinez, the team was 21 and 13 with 5.1 runs per game. That's a 618 winning percentage. So drastically better, albeit a small sample size. The Mariners were overcomplicating hitting for multiple years now. We've kind of been griping about it because at a certain point you just gotta see ball, hit ball. But man, I some of the guys on the live chat anger. Yeah, I'm angry, but like your parents would tell you, or maybe your grandparents, we're not mad, we're disappointed. And I'm disappointed in basically everyone in the organization minus LG and Cal.
Seeing how do you properly pronounce his name? Scooble, the guy in Detroit. Seeing how
Hmm.
his numbers played off, um, I'll admit I was off on my LG the OG's prediction that he would win the Cy Young this year, considering that Scuba won the Triple Crown. But that is a lifetime effort that guy we just sent to waste. What was the stat that they put up? 92 quality starts over the course of the year. And I take quality starts with a double-edged sword because they don't equate to wins all the time. But man, just to have the pitching staff in place that I mean, there were a lot of people who have said over the last few weeks, you give Oakland our pitching staff, they're winning the World Series.
Mm,
You could give almost 90% of teams in baseball our pitching staff and they're winning the World Series. Just the frustration of being here for the 23rd out of 24 years, just if it wasn't something that we're familiar with, it would push you to the breaking point.
mm.
It absolutely would. Well, I see you in there, Mariners Lifer, and we thank you for rocking with us. Give us just a second, and we'll get to your situation there, and we'll pick a player based upon the stats that you got picked up. But yeah, man, just June 17th, everything was great and just running the way that it should. And when the pot began to leak water, there was no real way to figure out how to stop it. And if it was throwing Service off the ship first, as soon as the water got rocky, we should have thrown his ass into the water and let the sharks eat him.
Hmm.
But I also think that the firing of Service too was just to give some red meat to the masses who were screaming that however the team is running needed to be changed. And we get the change. We see how having a Hall of Fame guy who doesn't believe in any of that analytical bullshit to tell you how to go up there and hit a baseball paid fucking dividends for us.
Mm-hmm.
Just in Mariners fashion, too little, too late. And I'll openly admit, I'm not one of the front office Avengers. I can't fucking stand the way our front office moves. I, yes, businesses are in business to make money and they're worried about their bottom line. But the payoff for the people who are putting the money into your pockets is to give them a product that could get them to the dance. For Detroit to Detroit mathematically, what was it? August 10th stood no chance to make the playoffs.
Mm-hmm.
And they have the best record in baseball since that day. With no household name players. And the one player that is a household name on there, they benched. And then guys just got up and did their fucking jobs. Why is it that we can't get that kind of effort in the Pacific Northwest? Just I'm trying not to talk from anger, but I don't really think that I can right now. I'm just
Let it out, man.
kind of sick of this shit, to be
You
honest.
you know my stance. As long as you don't cross a line, fan how you want to fan, man. I ain't out here being the fan police on anyone. In fact, I hate the people on the internet that are the fan police.
Oh, absolutely. Indy had a run in with one today. Who we had a conversation off mic, and he brought up a situation that said go back to June and we don't blow that 8-run lead against the Royals. What happens then? The one game that turns out to make a difference against
Hmm.
the one team that we finished one game behind. Then, of course, one of the internet police come up and told him, well, what if we hadn't blown that 14-2 game in Cleveland? We would have won 117 games at 116. Those two things don't match to me.
No, we still made the ALCS that year.
We still made the ALCS that year. That loss, the 5-run lead we blew in Texas, every little game matters, especially if we're going to press forward with this team full of reclamation projects that we're hoping you once were what you were 3 years ago when we bring you up here.
Hmm.
I and we're stuck with it again. We're stuck with it again. Yes, we said earlier in the show they announced that Jerry's coming back. Well, it was said that Jerry was coming back. No team confirmation yet, at least what I've seen. But if you think that guy's out of a job, you're out of your fucking mind. He's absolutely coming back.
Hmm.
And we're going to get
Hmm.
another one of these press conferences that are, oh, well, we tried. And no, I want you to sit up there with that same fucking energy where you told me you were doing me a favor
Hmm.
attempting to win 54% of your games over a 10-year period. So we got you looking up. In the 10 years that Jerry has been here, the team has a 51% winning percentage. And how many playoff appearances in that? So we need to give you another 10 years to up the winning percentage 3.5 points, but you're not willing to, but your boss isn't willing to make the investment necessary to be able to get that done. All stats have asterisks to them, and all of them have a bias because of how the data is formed. What 54% doesn't do is it doesn't control how Houston, with 5 starting pitchers down, flipped the power of balance 15 games in the division.
Hmm.
What 54% doesn't do is account for a team like Detroit, who in the last 50 games basically go 40-10. There's a lot that is left out there because it's what you can't control, but what you can control is try to put the absolute most productive product out there even if it hurts your pockets a little bit. But again, me and the Mariners front office are two different type of drug dealers. Ty,
Mm-hmm.
take it away, bro.
Well, we can look at this a lot of ways, and I actually had a great day today because I was watching Red Zone and doing some little homework on baseball in totality because I'm trying to figure out what the hell went wrong this year. Because on paper, if we played it with a video game to start the season, you play MLB The Show, it looked pretty good. Obviously, everything completely fell apart. Now, here's the thing, dude. So you were talking and you talk about it often, and you're absolutely right. Retreads, reclamation projects, rejects, guys that are basically washed. We keep going after them. And you know what? We don't have the cream in the clear. We don't have the guys juicing so Barry Bonds can hit like 70 or 80 home runs at 36 years old. That shit's not happening, dude. So RG, I looked at it. Polanco's 31. Haniger's 33, Garver's 33. The combination of less juice and higher velocities make it so I think that most hitters can't survive into their 30s the way they used to. So I looked up the top 50 players in OPS this year, the top 50 best hitters basically. Only 10 of those 50 were between the ages of 31 and 32. Only 6 out of those 50 were 33 and older. So you're telling me like Haniger and Garver are basically throwing shit at the wall and hoping it sticks. But check it out, it goes much deeper because when I looked at each player individually, so 16 of those 50 players in the top 50 for OPS, 16 of those guys 31 and over, 15 of them were all stars and 7 of them were Hall of Famers. Only one player over 31 in the top 50 OPS is not an all star or a Hall of Famer. So, what I'm basically saying is for you to still play at an elite to very good level, hitting wise, RG, you have to be a young man or a Hall of Fame perennial all star type of player. I'm sorry to the double Mitchwich, but those guys clearly aren't those perennial all-star Hall of Fame level dudes, and those are the only guys with great production up at those ages.
No, just which makes me want to get to Mariners Life real quick. And we thank you for rocking with us in the live chat. Those of you that follow along with us each and every Sunday night here on My Oh My, it's another sports podcast. Which player would you take based on these numbers? Player one, 270, 33 home runs, 99 RBIs. Player two, 230, 273, 20 home runs, 67 RBIs. Player one had 187 strikeouts on the year. Player two had 155 strikeouts on the year. Which one of those guys are you taking?
I'm with Mariners Lifer. You pretty much have to go with number one, the
You
power
taking number
production,
one?
man.
All right. Okay. I I like home runs. I like home runs and RBIs. Uh, okay. Since Sunday Evening Media also took player number one, I'm gonna go with player number two just for the experiment to have a balance. So okay, Mariners Life. I'm gonna go with players number two. And we'll see how it is he responds when he gets back in. Player one is Tail. Oh fuck. Oh. I don't want to get started on Tails Hernandez. I really don't want to get started on Tails Hernandez. And
Here,
it's not that I
I
have
want to
anything
interject one
against.
sec.
Yeah, go ahead, brother. Go ahead.
It's just gonna piss you all off because of what I was talking about. So, two of those only 16 players in the top 50 OPS in their 30s, Gino and Teo. I mean, we went for birds in the bush, but I mean, a smart investor is going to play the sure thing unless you have the money to back up losses, which the Mariners don't
M-
have.
Motherfucker.
I don't like it when I do this homework and it just makes it look so bad, but it is what it is, man. That's why I do it.
I'm not. I'm going to say this, and I'm not diminishing you in any way. You make deliveries for UPS, and you were able to do that math and figure out the fact that we fucked up. These these guys get paid millions of dollars to do this shit.
I was doing this shit while I was watching football too, mind you.
That's a great analysis, Mariners lifer. Great analysis. I I listened to you talk about Brett Rooker all year, and
God,
and
love them.
when you first brought it up, for the people of the beauty community, like, no, that guy ain't shit. Blah, blah, blah. Dude hit 297 with 37 home runs at over 100 RBI. If that guy's in our lineup, we're playing on Tuesday. If
Hmm.
Teo's in our line, or if Teo's in our lineup, we're playing on Tuesday. If Suarez is in our lineup, we're playing on Tuesday. But their problem was the strikeouts. We got rid of them. And shout out to you, Mariners Life, for nah, that ain't what we do. That ain't what we do. Don't get me wrong, I like Julio. I like Julio, but we need more than just him in order to be able to get this thing done. And I honestly don't think that it could be centered around him. Still a little too
So
immature.
I think it could. Yeah, there you go. There you
Still,
go. Yeah.
still, still way too immature. Now, granted, at with me at 23, I may not have been the most maturest, but in the line of business I was in, if I wasn't 110% serious and on at all times, that's a bullet in your head.
Hmm.
And I often relate what I used to do to what I to the way that I think about life. Just I didn't have the luxury to lollygag through that. And I think we have overpaid him too soon. Just oh god. To not even give Teoscar a qualifying offer is what hurts the most. With Gino, I couldn't understood. With Gino, I kind of understood. Um, because his power production wasn't what it was. Because at the time that we got Gino, he was number two in home runs in baseball over a 3 year stretch, only behind Aaron Judge. And with those guys, strikeouts is a part of what comes with them. But once his power numbers weren't what they were, I kind of couldn't understand with that. But to not give Teoscar a qualifying offer and to just watch him go and be the perfect Robin to Otani's Batman,
Hmm.
and he didn't even have to be. But when Mookie Betts went down, someone else's bat had to step up, and there was Teoscar Hernandez. That dude's about to get paid. And just another story of what we used to have that let go away. I live closer to Phoenix than I do to Seattle, so I see a lot more Diamondbacks content than I do Mariner content, other than the fact I'm out to go out and chase Mariner content. Tired of seeing those guys who should be in Mariner jerseys perform at levels, and we have gaping holes where they used to be.
Hmm.
I'd have taken Ketel Marte back. I'm going to start talking angry again. Ty, take over.
Go ahead and let it rip, man. So here's the thing, too, is Mariners Lifer, there's not going to be any pickle licking on this show. I mean, here's where you got to just separate the facts from your emotions. I love Julio. He is one of the best young players the Mariners have ever developed themselves. But it was clearly a down year where he didn't perform to the level that we had all hoped for. And that's just a fact. I can look it up here in 1 second, but it's tough. It's tough too, because I'm going to tell you why it's so tough, man. We're at the end of the season, so these rankings now matter. The Major League Baseball pitching rankings, RG, the Mariners were second in ERA, only .01 behind Atlanta. Only .01 from being first place in ERA. First in whip, first in Ks per walk ratio, 10th in Ks per game, first in opponent's batting average, first in opponents' OPS. We have the eighth best bullpen ERA, but there were two weaknesses with the pitching staff, which is really being kind of stupid because we know the lineup let the team down overall. But we were 18th in home runs per nine, and we had 21 blown saves. 21 blown saves, and only seven teams in Major League Baseball had a worse save percentage than the Mariners. So when our lineup was inept, we also couldn't close out ball games. You combine those two, and that's a recipe for not making the playoffs. If our starting pitching wasn't spectacular, we wouldn't even be 500, and we all know it.
Not having not having a full healthy bullpen. Oh, I need to get to Texas Power Rangers well too. Thanks for being patient tonight while we're kind of just venting what was a kind of a failed experiment in the first year that we actually thought that something was going to happen with these Mariners. But I thought the bullpen at times was a liability,
Oh yeah.
especially with the Stanek experiment. And we'll get to Texas Power Ranger right now. I seen a TikTok about how the Stanek experience might have been the nail in the coffin for the Mariners. I can't give it that much weight because I can't give the Stanek experience that much weight because there were times that he did perform good. There were times where it wasn't just him who was in there throwing meatballs. There were times where we might have left a pitcher in a little too long. There were times that our guy on the hill made a mistake pitch, so I can't put that all on Stanek. Plus, since we weren't fully healthy and we lost Brash, Santos didn't really get a good shot with us because of his injuries as well too. We we kind of had to makeshift how we were coming out, and I also didn't like how if we got rid of Seawall to let Munoz shine, then Munoz should have the ninth. And there were times Munoz was coming into the seventh. There was time Munoz was coming into the eighth, and not giving him where he should have been and putting him there a little too late could have cost some of that too. I also saw that y'all had the 19th best ERA on the road as well. And Tommy says that makes me want to vomit. Um, I still think that what our downfall was is relying too much on the math to make human decisions, which made Service the perfect scapegoat. But if that's also the direction that the boss wants the manager to work in, who's the manager to say no? I Now what is it? The interim tag isn't on Wilson, so Wilson is coming back. It's Edgar who we don't know is coming back. Correct?
Exactly.
All right.
Exactly.
I think that the offensive performance alone is reason for Edgar to come back if he wants to come back. Because I think that Edgar has also to earn the right to tell them to go fuck themselves. Um, if he wants to come back, I think he should be allowed to come back. But again, we need to no more MacGyver projects with our personnel. Even if you don't give us three, give us two. Cause you can damn sure afford to give us two. People bought many of items on Edgar and Dave. You can afford it. Give us two. Until we get there, this conversation is going to continue. And it is going to have the tone that it has because we're going to get passed up. And I
Mm.
don't think it even as easy as bring the guys up from the farm system and let them get rocking. Um, I don't think we can afford to try to climb out of the pits either.
Mm.
But then I also don't know what to think because we didn't do a great job of front running this year either.
We got a fantastic lead and fell apart immediately, basically. But you know what the Mariners were, dude? I was thinking about it on a commute home from work. The Mariners, June. We peaked in June. That's like that dude in junior high that peaked in junior high, man. You got so much left to go, man. You don't want to peak in junior high. You don't want to peak in June. You got a long ways left in that life. You got a long ways left in the season. And that's just what happened there. So I looked it up really quick while y'all were talking about it, and Mariners Lifer was comparing Suarez to Julio. You're talking about we're missing Suarez, and I think we all do. But here's the real bottom line, dude. It's startling, absolutely startling. Suarez had a 147 point difference in OPS compared to Rojas. A 147 point difference in OPS compared to the third baseman we replaced him with. I mean, if it's not going to make me angry, it's going to make me cry, one of the two, because that's so fucking substantial. That is like one of the biggest swings and misses I've seen the front office make. And you know what? If you got to shed salary, fine, I get it. But there was ways to do this without gutting the team. Did we need to go get both Mitches? Did we need to get Polanco? We really we basically got rid of guys we knew could produce for us for guys we weren't sure. It completely blew up in our faces. Tommy's saying that we don't consistently find championship caliber talent and we're cycling through them quickly. I was talking about this with one of our guests on Discord a week or two ago. And RG, we just feel like there's no continuity. We have three guys in the lineup that are mainstays. Everyone else is rotating like you're playing freaking Ring Around the Rosie or whatever that game is at the carnival where you walk around and you sit down to try to win the cake. Like that's the cakewalk. That's the type of shit we're doing, man. There's no continuity, so you can't build together as a ball club. You can't have the coaches learn the players learn the coaches because they're in and out so fucking quickly. And then we have a guy that hits 4 home runs with a 641 OPS, replacing the hottest hitter in the second half of baseball. I am starting to take crazy pills out here, but this might just be a big old bull session, man, because I feel Mariners fans everywhere needs to vent. I want to give a quick shout out though to Tay and his Houston Astros. As much as I hate them, as much as I hope they get eliminated from the playoffs promptly, RG, but that's the difference between a winning organization and an organization like the Mariners that pretend. We pretend. You know what happened when Jose Abreu? It was clear he was yesteryear. He was never going to be that dude again. They got rid of him, and he's got like money. He's got like 20 million plus dollars left that they have to pay him. He's gone. You say Kikuchi, he underperformed for Seattle. He didn't reach his potential with Toronto. They trade for Kikuchi, and all of a sudden he looks fucking awesome. And so that to me is the difference between, as much as I hate the Astros, it's also the respect because we want to be where they're at, but I feel we are pretending we're fronting. We're not really championship quality organization.
Hey, I want you to just answer me a question before me and Tyler continue. Um, did you have that type of energy for the Astros when they were losing 100 games for a couple seasons? Probably not. Okay.
It looks like the Texas Rangers hate Houston also.
Yeah. I mean, we can hate them all we want to. We can try to keep bringing up old shit, calling them cheaters and whatnot. But you want to know what those dudes know how to do is win. Able to get rid of core pieces, and they've had a stranglehold on the division except for the COVID year. They've had an absolute stranglehold on the division. You get rid of Springer, you get rid of Correa, You let Abreu walk because he can't perform. We have, I'll give you this as a counter. If we'd have been down 5 starters, we would have finished right where the A's finished.
Mm.
Houston's down 5 starters. Fucking win the division with an
Dude,
aging
it's crazy.
Verlander. Just
Oh, there's another factor.
real nuts.
RG, I've been meaning to say this for a couple of weeks now, but we just get in the flow of things so you don't always remember what you thought about when we're out there driving around and shit. But the Mariners have not gotten our Justin Verlander. Now, we're not going to go after a premier Hall of Fame level pitcher. That makes zero sense. But y'all know what I'm talking about, though. You build up a great young core, and then you make that power move to truly put you over the top. And clearly, no offense, but the double Mitch Witch is not the Justin Verlander power move that puts you over the top.
No, 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 not at all. Not at all. It's again, we talk about hoping to catch lightning in a bottle. That if we do this step, and this step like we did a couple years ago, that's the same combination to the gate. And yesterday's price is not today's price. But their business model keeps them paid. And that's going to be the definition to me of the Stanek era. I mean, not the Stanek, the Stanton era here in with the Mariners. We want more. They make a ton of money by doing less. And the team is just good enough to keep us all around until the final 4 days of the season.
Mm. Well, me and my brother did our parts. We were thinking of going to a couple more games all year, and then we spent that entertainment budget on Seahawks and golf. But I really think though that's kind of where we need to be though, because you say it all the time, RG. We always show up, and it's true. So at some point, Mariners fans need to make a business decision. It's not cheap. Do I want to go? And of course, I was all in early. I love going to ball games, but at a certain point, is it even worth it? And we're talking about the batting woes, RG. Here's where we stand at the end of the season. The Mariners had the second worst batting average. We struck out the most times. In fact, we were the only team in MLB that struck out more than 10 times per game. The only team with that kind of strikeout rate. 22nd in OPS. 15th in on base percentage. That one freaking surprised me. 13th in home runs, 9th in stolen bases. That's actually pretty decent. But when it comes to the mere fact of hitting consistently, dude, we were 29th in doubles. We were 29th in triples, and we were 29th in hits. I mean, just to consistently hit the fucking ball is not happening, dude. If you can't hit it, just go short two and through. Build your confidence back, and then maybe start going yard again. But the facts are simple. When it comes to basic line drive hitting, we are the second worst team in baseball. And if not for the White Sox and maybe the worst season in 150 years of Major League Baseball, we would have been dead last. Oh, I like that, Tay. Grinky in 2019. So that's a name I forgot, but those are the type of moves the Mariners need to make. And for God's sakes, we have the ammo. We have 8 prospects in the MLB top 100. We have a plethora of other players that I'm high on in the system. But you were just talking about Brent Roker there. We would dream, we would pray that one dude out of those 8 would turn into Brent Roker. It would be a dream if one of those dudes did that. Package 3 of them and get the proven guy that's absolutely raking. Because guess what, guys? I really feel for Oakland, especially as a diehard Sonics fan. I really feel for a city that loses a beloved team. And to top it off, they've lost all three of their teams in a matter of a few years. If Oakland moves to maybe Vegas or Salt Lake City, they ain't no ghetto team anymore, man. They're gonna have more money to fight back, and guess what? Division gets tougher.
We were at the Angels game, walked around and listened to the staff talk about how for a Sunday they had a pretty decent crowd, and my girl's looking around, and she's like, there were more people on a Monday at a Dodger game than there were here right now. And I said, well, let's talk about why. Um, that tall 6'4" left-handed guy that's in the batting box right now, and everybody has his face on a T-shirt. When he played down here in Anaheim, all those people were down here. Now he plays 30 miles north, and now all those people are 30 miles north. And this organization hasn't given them a reason to come out to support anything, even though they do have another guy who could be a generational talent. But now that guy is Derrick Rose, and he's never healthy. Then you look at the guy who was playing third base that day, and after he became the golden boy in baseball, they gave him a huge contract. And I don't think he's had 100 games in the season since. Talking about Anthony Rendon.
Oh yeah.
Then I sat and thought about how our Bleacher Report community was dogging the Padres, dogging the Padres last season. Spent all that money and got nothing out of it. That's why I'm glad we don't spend. You take Juan Soto out of the equation, all that money is still in their pockets, and they damn near ran down $1 billion team.
Mhm.
And they might be the team in the playoffs that no one wants to see. We'd kill to be there. We'd kill to be there. But it's almost like we have Munchausen syndrome, where we've been told this 20-year project to try to get us back to the ALCS needs to have another 10 years of patience with it. And there's some people in the fan base who are just like, yeah, we'll stick through it through and then. We'll let you guys figure it out. And I'm on the other side, like it's been 9 years and you haven't been able to figure it out. You've gotten us to the playoffs once. And our pitching was
Tick,
no need.
tick,
Jesus.
tick, tick.
Exactly. 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 Because they're not going to stick around and want to be a part of this. They're going to want to go win.
Hmm.
They're going to want to go win. Uh,
I'll say it like at a broken record, man. I tell my friends this all the time. You don't want to look back 4 years from now when Kirby is on the Yankees and Cal is on the Red Sox, wishing we would have done more when we had this great young core. Because it's a great young core, and that's what's so frustrating right now is they're not capitalizing on the incredible job they've done to build this. And now this is where I think that the disagreements among the Mariners fan base really gets interesting to me because you know they're great at they're great with the pitching staff. They've built a really good young core, but filling in with veterans, they've been terrible. So that's why I want to ask you this, RG. I give the Mariners front office a C grade right now, an A on pitching and an F on hitting. That equals a C on your GPA. Just give me your grade for the Mariners front office right now.
out of emotion
No, whatever you
or
want, man.
realism.
Give it. I mean, the season ended today. We have plenty of episodes to collect our thoughts and really attack this thing. The season ended today and we came up short.
I think that there needed to be some blue and white banners also in the stadium that says "sell" today as well too.
Yeah.
And if it wasn't, if it wasn't some of these new wave people, there should have been a massive "Let's go Oakland" chant at the end of the game today.
Mm.
And just like you said, they're moving into money. We're moving into penny pinching. this might have been the best chance. And they keep talking about this window. This window was open in 2021. It's now going to be 2025. And I don't real I think that window is closer to being shut if it isn't already shut as is. And we're gonna need to pry it to get it back open. And to pry it, we're gonna need a big money players.
Yeah.
Trying to be nice, Tay Williams says, but I'm gonna treat y'all like them Eagle fans that be talking shit like this too. Man,
Don't kick
man,
my
I'm telling
co-host
you,
while he's down, dude.
get your get your licks in now. But the last time I checked, us and the Cowboys are tied. Um, yeah, our defense may not be able to stop a high school team right now, but yeah, man, it's it's coming. We're still winning the NFC East. We got plenty of time to talk football here and now, moving forward in the future. Back to the business at hand. Um, talk about Kirby being on the Yankees, Cal being on the Red Sox. What's going to really make me sick is when Logan ends up on one of those two teams in Texas.
Hmm. Man, don't say that, man. These two guys are going to be coming at us now. Yeah, yeah.
Well,
But I hear him.
absolutely.
You'd be insane not to want Logan Gilbert on your ball club. You would be insane.
Right? Then I hope is if he leaves the Mariners, I really hope it's to the National League. Just put it like that. Um,
Fair enough.
what I don't want to end up is the Giants, which is the greatest episode of Hard Knocks when they're on the phone with Saquon and they're like, "Yeah, go out there and see what you can get, and if you don't like it, you could always just come back." Then the very next conversation was, "Man, I hope he doesn't end up on the Eagles."
And the owner's saying that too.
The owner is saying that. Like, I just don't understand. There are people who in the community also think like you do. The return on that investment, God forbid we would make it to the ALCS, make it to the World Series, and get that holy grail, you could eat off that one season for 15 years.
I
You've
guarantee it.
said it yourself. You've said it yourself. You could still walk into a store today in the Pacific Northwest and buy a Super Bowl t-shirt from 10 fucking seasons ago. It's there on the back end, but the way that you guys are going about this, you're you're not slyer than Kevin Mather. Yeah, Kevin Mather fucked up and said what he said in front of a microphone. But that same mentality is prevalent. You're just not coming out and saying it out loud. Some of us aren't stupid, but lucky for you, you do have a stranglehold on the stupid. And lucky for those people, they're allowed to fan how they want to fan because if we could change it, would nobody be in that fucking stadium.
Yeah,
You
for
guys would
real.
have to live your exact lives like the Tampa Bay Devil Rays and play in an empty stadium all year until playoff time.
Shit, dude, I grew up in an empty baseball stadium. It's not like it's impossible. Now the huge difference is the Kingdome was a piece of shit and T-Mobile Park is just a majestic ball field. But that being said, dude, I was born in 1984 and until probably August of 1995, it was an empty stadium. We would go there. I would go there, with my dad, my grandpa, and my brother. We'd be up in the 300s at the Kingdom. And me and my little bro, we'd be running around like little squirrels up there. It was so empty, and it didn't matter at all because we weren't bugging anybody. My dad and grandpa could watch the game together and talk ball, talk shop, talk family, whatever. We're scrolling around like two little boys would want to. And that's how empty it was. And that's what it could be. I don't think it'll ever get there. The stadium's too beautiful on a sunny, sunny night. I just saw Tay up the scroll on the live chat a little bit ago, and you might remember this dude. He says Jason Hayward was a low key big pickup for them, Jason Hayward is keeping us out of the playoffs. They weren't walk-offs, but he had a game-winning home run for LA against us, and he had a game-winning home run just a few nights ago against us. And without Jason Hayward, we're in the playoffs. There's a million games you can point to in a baseball season like that. But fuck you, Jason Hayward. You fell off a cliff. The Dodgers cut you, but you decide, you know what? I got a little bit of juice left in this bat to make sure y'all Seattle fans don't get in.
The same thing that makes you laugh can also make you cry.
Oh shit, dude. Rest in peace. My mom used to always say that one.
Yeah, yeah. The same thing that makes you laugh can make you cry. Episode title. Go ahead and write that one down. Uh, but yeah, man, just it's like this vicious, never-ending cycle. And I kind of want off the roller coaster. I do. If this is what you're going to give us, and you're not going to put us in a chance to compete, why should I spend $150 a year on the baseball package just so I could be able to watch games? I get annoyed as fuck every time we're on Apple TV because then what the fuck am I paying $154 for access to all the games? And then there's a handful of them where the Mariners just so happy to be our turn of the rotation, but it's 4 times a season. Um, I buy my shirts every year. I buy a hat every other year. I live as far away from Seattle almost as possible, and do do what I can to try to rock and support for my team. I just wish they gave a fuck about winning. This is like being a 76ers fan in the NBA. This is like being a Buffalo Bills fan in the 90s without going to 4 Super Bowls. This is meeting up in the playoffs against Michael Jordan or Kobe in their heyday. You know, this is Houston having a 3-1 lead, and the Warriors just like, nah, bitch, fuck you. Back to earth you come. Just it's just like it repeats all the time, and we're sitting here saying the majority of the same shit we said last year. And unless they make a move to make the offense better than what they tried to do this year, we'll be having the same conversation every last Sunday in September until Stanton sells or someone just takes Jerry out.
Mariners lifer saying he wishes that Paul Allen bought the Mariners. Dude, with that money, man, we would make the Dodgers look like some ghetto shack in Compton or something down there in LA. And I'm the one that wants Bezos to buy the team, but it looks like he either wants the Celtics or the Seahawks. That makes a ton of sense. What makes it really hard from a logistical ownership standpoint is I don't know how much people in the Billionaire Boys Club wants to buy a baseball team right now, especially in Seattle. Now, a whole different conversation we can dig into in the dead of the winter maybe is that the NFL and the some other of the sports leagues are starting to look into some of these giant investment conglomerates because so many few people on the planet can personally afford to buy a major pro sports team. So that'll be really interesting to see. I don't give a fuck about my morals right now, though, man. Piff, bring the Saudis in. If they want the Mariners, you can throw all my morals to the ground. The Saudis can come in and take this team, and I will be happier than a pig in shit. I still cheer for the live golfers. So what do you think I'm gonna do if they bought the Mariners?
That's so funny that you say that. That's so funny that you say that, especially mentioning the Saudis. Dana White is probably one of the more open Trumpers of all the people who are in charge of or run some type of major league sport. And that dude has no problem picking up the phone and getting dirty oil money to pay for his events. None whatsoever. Boxing is now ran pretty much by Rehad season. People talked all that shit about Phil Mickelson. My boy Brooks Koepka went. John Rahm went. I
DeChambeau.
just did Bryson DeChambeau. There's a lot of those guys fucking went, man. Just it's easy to talk about how patriotic you are and what you aren't willing to do to sell your soul until that check comes up.
Mm-hmm.
Then all that shit goes right out the window. I tell people all the time, especially when there was the evil perception when COVID was happening. Chinese this, Chinese that. Like, all right, well, take your stand. And the next time you go shopping, don't go shop at Walmart. Go to an American owned store and buy the American made products. Well, that spatula over there costs $5.99. Like, yeah, because that's how much it costs to make a spatula and sell it and get your return back. The spatula at Walmart's only 99 cents. Yeah, I understand. It's easier for you to keep your bottom line by bargain shopping. And then when I told the same dude, are you aware that 99 cents of every dollar you spend at Walmart goes directly overseas into the Red Empire's bank account? And his eyes just lit up at me. Like, but it's the way you balance everything so you can still keep putting food on your family's table. Stanton has plenty of money that he doesn't need to have Jerry go shopping at Walmart for great value players. But it's the same mentality to keep his pockets as fat as possible. That's exactly where Jerry's going to shop for major league talent players because he doesn't want to fit the bill for none of that. There's a chance that Juan Soto could be available again. And guess who's not going to make a play for him?
Nah. We're not even going to talk about him this offseason, dude, because there's no point. I was big on it last year because you can trade for him. He was still in his, rookie deal, basically. So it's not like he has a no trade clause yet. His next deal, he'll have probably a full no trade clause. Be like, fuck you, I ain't going to Seattle. We could have made him come to Seattle for 1 year. 30 million, $32 million. And you know what? We found out the Mariners grossed like 390 million last year. 80 something of it was direct profit. We know the most lucrative part of owning a pro sports team is in the sale of the team. The Even the Seattle Mariners team valuation has doubled in the short time Stanton's owned the team. Look at the greatest basketball player ever, Michael Jeffrey Jordan, bought the freaking shitty Charlotte Hornets, then the Charlotte Bobcats for like 500 million. He just sold that freaking franchise for like 3 billion, and it's one of the biggest dog shit franchises in the NBA. But that's the type of money we're talking about. Can someone that would care, please? And I guess not all rich people are the same, and there's levels to this shit. Paul Allen makes vastly more money than Mr. Stanton could ever dream of. But Paul Allen, although he was a shrewd businessman running the world, he's got several super yachts, does whatever he wants to do when he wants to do it, was also an amazing philanthropist, and he cared about his legacy. That's a huge difference. Paul Allen cared that everyone in the Pacific Northwest was thankful and adored him for what he did for Seattle and Portland pro sports. Stanton does not give a shit about that.
Paging Steve Ballmer. Paging Steve
Yeah.
Ballmer, you're on deck, baby. We need you. We need you. Just somebody who will come in here and at least be willing to try. At least be willing to try. There's no shame in renting your way to one championship. No shame in that whatsoever. Because the trophy doesn't say, oh, they bought Juan Soto for 6 months. Trophy doesn't say that. The trophy says champion. The history book says champion. You can go all up and down the annals of baseball or any sport you watch, and it doesn't say what you spent to put that team together. It says fucking champion. They can never
Hmm.
take that from you. You mean to tell me that the Washington Nationals for fucking 6 months 4 years ago were more committed to getting shit done than we were? That team got blown apart real fucking fast after they won it, but they won the motherfucker. They won the
Shit, let's
fucker.
at least get there.
You can say what you want to about the Florida Marlins. They got two of those sons of bitches.
And who
My
cares
brother's
if it's a rented championship? Because you know what happens? You own that motherfucker. Sunday Evening Media right now just
forever.
typed one rented championship every decade would be all right with me. It will be great for me. You know what Texas Power Ranger thinks? They might have rented a championship, but guess what? They won it and they fucking own it.
Sure do. Sure do. Sure do. And fucking if DeGrom and Scherzer were healthy and Corey Seager, you might still have a chance to get you one.
Mm.
You might still have it. They might still have a chance to get one. Just no one gives a flying fuck if who cares? Who cares? The people who are gonna, oh man, we rented the championship. You know what the fuck they're gonna do? They're still gonna buy tickets to go because they still need to get their clout up. They still need to take fucking pictures of them inside the stadium, standing next to the fucking trophy. They're still gonna put their ticket stubs up. They're still gonna fucking Instagram them on the way to the stadium. Gives a shit. Just go for it once. Go for it once. And if we don't have a guy that's willing to go for it once, then that dude needs to get the fuck on and get the fuck out.
Well, I'm gonna get into it deep as the winter evolves here, bro. But I have a gut feeling that the Mariners are going to have to make more Marco Gonzalez, Jared Kelenic, Gino Suarez type of trades just to free up the money to try to get some productive hitting. I have a bad feeling that we're going to trade one of our top prospects or multiple of those guys with a Mitch Witch to relieve some budgetary money, relieve some funds so we can try to get after some hitters. But we could go on and on about the frustration. I do feel at the end of the season, we do need to give some flowers to a few players. And for starters, the Mariners had 92 quality starts in Major League Baseball this year. 92 quality starts, Philly had 80. We had 12 more quality starts than the rest of baseball. And I know quality starts can be a skewed stat, but to me, all that matters is do you keep your team in the ball game? And the Mariners starting pitching staff kept their team in the ball game at a better rate than anybody in baseball. 57% of the games was a quality start. You should be winning about 57% of those. In my opinion, your boy, if y'all didn't hear it, RG was the first person saying Logan Gilbert was the ace. He absolutely is. LG the OG tied for second in quality starts this year, first in whip with a 3.23 ERA, and this man only became the sixth Mariner. Only the sixth Mariner in team history to have a season with 200 innings pitched and 200 strikeouts. Only the sixth Mariner to achieve such a milestone in a season with a 9-12 record. Boy, it's a good thing I don't care about win loss record because if you just looked at that, you wouldn't know the story.
Absolutely, man. Absolutely. And it took a guy to win the pitching triple crown to be better than Logan Gilbert this year.
Hmm.
Yeah. Next flowers I want to give out to, and I'm gonna call this the you got yourself invited to next year's barbecue award. And the guy who got himself invited to come get some of Uncle Rob's barbecue next season is Luke Rayleigh.
Oh
That
hell
dude
yeah!
absolutely earned himself a plate of some of these burn-ins, some of these St. Louis cut baby back ribs, some of that okra, some of that collard greens, some cornbread, some red beans and rice. Dude owned it. Dude owned it this year. Owned what he was brought
Absolutely.
here to do. Came every year, like came up. Lights weren't too bright for him. Dude performed. Dude performed. Absolutely performed. He earned himself a right to come back to the barbecue next year. Luke Rayleigh, man, clap it up for your boy.
Oh, hell yeah. And what I love so much is he built on his career year in Tampa Bay last year. Last year was his best year he'd ever had in Tampa Bay. Comes to Seattle and did even better. One of the rare exceptions. And I think that speaks to his mental toughness and his competitiveness that we see so many hitters fold when they come from wherever, Texas, Cleveland, Tampa, wherever, and they struggle mightily here, like we've noted. And Luke Rayleigh has done nothing but earn his job. Because if y'all recall to start the season, I was really pissed off at Scott Service in the front office, whoever makes these exact decisions, because he wasn't a regular starter for the first few weeks to a month in the season. It wasn't till Canzone got hurt, other Mitch was struggling. I felt he should have been starting right away given what he did last year.
Mhm.
20 plus home runs, 15 stolen bases. He built on that. I just see Mariners Lifer here, man, real quick, saying Miller's the ace of the future. Bryce Miller, I was so happy with this season.
Mhm.
Second year in Major League Baseball. He started out like a Cy Young candidate, and then he was objectively terrible for a stretch in the middle of the season. He found it again. He made his adjustments and was looking like a Cy Young candidate again after looking so terrible in the middle of the year. He finished eighth in ERA and fourth in WHIP in all of Major League Baseball. Brian Wu, sixth round steal. Sixth round for this dude? Holy shit. So, not all is lost, and that's the frustration. But the Mariners have to capitalize. No one wants to look back, when I'm 45, when I'm 50. God forbid, hope I can live longer than that. I don't want to look back and think, God, boy, did they just waste that time.
It's like we're going to give four guys the King Felix treatment. Do something.
Hmm.
Do something while you can. Because if you notice what we're talking about, it with the exception of Luke, is our pitching staff. But it takes two of them to be able to tango. And just like you said about Luke, his mentality is what was the difference maker. And you all have heard this before. Whether you believe you can or whether you believe you can't, you're right. And that guy believed he could. Find me some. Find me some. Somebody in the chat asked me this. Answer me this. Um, would it be wrong if we sent a bill back to Luis Urias to get back the $5 million that he got this year to not do shit?
True. And he had a really rough year last year. He wasn't coming off a good year. He had a pretty shitty season last year. And I gotta call myself out though. I was willing to look past it, RG, because in 2023, Urias was injured and he was traded, but he still had a shitty year. And it's not like he was outstanding. I believe his two best seasons were like a 106 OPS plus, 108 OPS plus. So he's had 2 years where he's been a little bit above average. Should we expect him to get that much better? Or here's one thing I found out too, that you never, because I always hope that all players are going to ascend. Luis Urias might have hit his peak at 26. Ty France might have hit his peak at 26. Not all guys are on a steady trajectory going up. And that is, I think, in a nutshell, where the Mariners completely fumbled the bag as an organization this year. Is they just felt that everyone will be trending up. We went for some aging veterans who are clearly trending down. I looked it up. The only guys that are in the age range of the double Mitchwich are Hall of Famers and All Stars, and that's not those two dudes.
Nope. 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 Nope.
So listen, Mariners, if you want to get some old gray beards, make sure they're fucking great baseball players because the stats don't lie. The top 50 hitters in the league this year, all of them were young guys, dude. Take it for what you will, but there's probably numerous reasons why. But we are not going to see these guys balling out at 38 like we once did.
Now without that juice. Now without the juice.
I
Ty,
mean, that's
man, what else
probably
you
the
got?
best thing. Oh shit, dude. I'm worked up in a lather now, man. Oh, I thought I might
What
be
else you got in the book, baby?
the frustration's real, dude. And some of this we're just gonna save because we got so much. Like I really do. Today I sat down with Red Zone and just went. I was watching. If y'all don't aren't on Red Zone, if you can afford it, it's a dream for football people, especially when your team's not playing. Like if the Seahawks are playing, I'm gonna lock in on that game. But when my team's not playing, it is just so freaking awesome. No commercials, always moving to the most exciting games. Sorry about your
Hmm.
Eagles. They do not like going to
I'm
Tampa
not.
Bay, apparently.
I'm not. I'm not sorry about those bastards one bit. I thought that I could go on about the inept moves that from my front office makes in any sport that I'm a fan of. And the one that got me the most about it, and I promised we weren't going to turn this into a the conversation. We were going to put the Mariners to bed this year, but we brought in Nick Fangio to help game plan the Super Bowl and what we would do to try to help stop Patrick Mahomes. And we gave up over 30 points. Then he gets hired to be the defensive coordinator down in Miami. And Miami's defense wasn't all that impressive to me last year. So you figure we on paper should have better talent than that. And, Tyler's wife sent us this gift in there that says, "What happens when you go outside and see a bunch of bald eagles sitting on the porch? It's easy. You run through the middle because they can't tackle you." So just we've seen what it is that he is, what it is that he can't do, and just caught up in the facade of what he used to be, and that's why he has a job.
Mhm.
You
So
know,
I there's one thing I think about sometimes, and it all started with Tom Brady winning the Super Bowl with Tampa Bay, the Patriots falling off a cliff when they broke up. And then I'm thinking about Vic Fangio, your Eagles DC. He made his bones as the San Francisco D coordinator with, when they were battling the LOB Seahawks. But I think back, that defense was so stacked. That defense was so stacked. I think that any average NFL coach could have produced a top flight defense when you have the Smith brothers, Patrick Willis, Navarro Bowman. I mean, that team was fucking ferocious. So I think sometimes we overrate coaches just based on the players we have. What's Sean Payton been doing without Drew Brees? So I sometimes we discredit how great players can make a coach.
yeah, absolutely, man. Listen to Draymond Green talk about it all the time, especially in the Warriors' heyday. Was our system is extremely unique, and I'm lucky to play in a system that's so unique. Other teams try to duplicate what it is that we do, but the difference is you don't have the personnel to run what we run, how we run,
Hmm.
and that's what makes us different than you. The exact same thing. The dogs in the system make the style in the fight. Anybody can sit back there and do that. I almost feel the same about Tua being the quarterback of the Dolphins. How easy is it to throw a fucking 5 yard slant to Tyreek Hill and just let him outrun everybody?
Mm-hmm.
You put Dak in that offense, Miami might win a fucking Super Bowl. But again, we're putting the nail in the coffin for the 2024 Mariners. Um, I left my cord for my iPad in the truck, so I can't see what's going down on the live feed right now. Anything we need to address?
Not just a bunch of good stuff. Mariners Life are saying that Miller was a fourth round pick. There's a hidden gem. And Tay Williams is telling us that he's even watching Red Zone when the Cowboys are on because they're pissing him off right now. I get that. Sunday Evening Media is asking you, is Sirianni on the hot seat? In my opinion, his seat is razor hot and his ass is on fire.
Nigga, the seat that the devil sits on in hell isn't as hot as the one that Sirianni's on. At all.
Oh, man.
At all. Um,
Because he
hmm.
doesn't call plays and they're not managing the game well either. So what the hell are you doing?
I got into it with one guy today in one of the fan chants where I put up the Spider-Man post, the Spider-Man meme where they point at each other. And I said the 2023 Eagles looking at the 2024 Eagles. And we're without two of our wide receivers. I was like, well, first of all, I'm an Eagle fan. And that still doesn't matter because AJ Brown and Devontae Smith don't fucking play defense. Our defense stats were way better than last year. I was like, it's 4 games in the fucking season. Plus, it's the first quarter, and Baker Mayfield is averaging 10 yards a fucking pass right now. The fuck are you
Mhm.
watching? Uh, just we are going to pay extremely for giving Doug Peterson the injustice that we gave him. You don't
Mm.
let you don't let that front office dispute play out on the sideline of a Sunday night football game to even put Jalen Hurts in.
Mm.
Jalen Hurts just Jalen Hurts and Julio are almost the exact type of player to me, except Jalen has made it through the playoff gauntlet to get to the final boss. And one of his mistakes led to us not being able to beat the final boss.
Hmm.
Um,
I mean, if he doesn't
I
drop
just
that
don't
ball,
know.
they're Super Bowl champs.
Absolutely,
That
absolutely.
simple.
Doesn't from the ball, we win the game.
Oh, absolutely.
Um, but also too, I could bitch at John Gannon and Shane Steichen for playing scared in the second half.
Hmm.
And touchdowns is what beats the Chiefs, not field goals. Again, learning how to play with the lead and learning how to front run.
Woulda, coulda, shoulda. At least you're not cheering for the team with the worst call in Super Bowl history. You can at least take that with you.
Listening to Marshawn talk about it, is just painful.
Yeah.
Just, just even to this day, just the disgust of what he is, and talks about the effect that could have had on the team. Because if they have a chance to go for they score, win, they have a chance to go for three. Those guys come back for less money to stay together to do something that's never been done.
Hmm. Well, the trust was broken also too. The trust
Absolutely.
between players and coaches was completely wasn't broken, it was shattered. And in any sport at any level to succeed as a team, there has to be trust between the coaches and the players and vice versa.
Listening to him talk about what the reaction was in the huddle when Wilson calls a play, and they all just kind of get to looking at him, and he just is like, "Hmm." And he talks about how if you watch and notice on the play, he's just kind of he knows he's not getting the ball and just kind of going through the motions, and just walked right off the field after it was done.
Mhm.
You know,
Yeah,
just
he was
laughing.
saying that he lined up on the wrong side because he just was so used to in that situation. We're coming
Yeah,
off the left side. We got Russell Okung and James Carpenter, who say what you want. A lot of Seattle fans remember history incorrectly, in my opinion, because the offensive line didn't get shitty until after the Super Bowl years. We actually had
Mhm.
a really good run blocking old line.
Mhm.
That dude, Marshawn and Russell were a devastating running combination, and there is not good running game without an offensive line. Period.
You shouldn't let those type of decisions bar you from getting to the ultimate goal. And to bring that back to what we're talking about tonight, it just definitely seems that our front office is celebrating. Because I can tell you right now, if they're having a postseason party together right now, there's nobody gloomy over there. There's nobody upset right now. They're looking at that ledger and saying to each other, "Hey, man, that's another year in the black, baby."
Oh yeah. Do you think Jerry is gonna be crying because he got a contract extension?
Not one fucking bit.
Nah, bro.
Not one fucking bit. But again, it just comes down to how you look at things. And
Mhm.
our platform isn't to try to tell you how to fan. It's just to give you an opinion from someone who's not paid to have an opinion. So our opinion gets to be less biased, and that's why you follow us, and we're thankful to have you. I'm just one of those guys where it's hard for me to cheer for your financial success because you're fucking up your re-up, and any good drug dealer knows his money is in the re-up, except
And
in
the
the
fiends
Pacific
know.
Northwest.
The fiends know, and I guess you could say we're the fiends, man. And we know when the
Absolutely, because
product
we're
is
the ones
good,
subscribing to this shit. We're the
and
ones
we keep
subscribing to
coming
this shit
back. We keep
every
coming
year,
back.
every year. And like our producer Indy said when we was off mic, Einstein said it best that when you try the exact same thing over and over and over again with no different variable in the equation, that's the definition of insanity because we end up in the exact same spot since 2001, 23 years, one playoff
Absolutely.
appearance.
We were talking about Marshawn for a minute there. I want to go to another dude who is the heart and soul of his team. We'd be remiss if we didn't shout out Captain Cal Raleigh. I know it's painfully obvious, but this dude had 34 home runs and 100 RBI. I don't know how you get 100 RBI when the guys in front of you never get on base. But what an incredible season by Cal Raleigh. And the stat that absolutely blew me away, RG, was Cal now has the most home runs by any catcher in his first 4 seasons in Major League Baseball. More than Mike Piazza, more than Johnny Bench, more than Pudge Rodriguez, more than Mauer, more than Posey. Whoever catcher you love historically, he's hit more home runs in his first 4 seasons than that dude. And his first season, he got sent down and probably really only played half a year in his quote first year. 92 home runs in his first 4 seasons. Cal Raleigh, I saw on some internet type of meme or ranking, or it was someone's like MLB ranking. They said that Cal Raleigh was a top 10 fielder regardless of position, coming out with 34 bombs and 100 RBI. We salute you, Cal, and we hope that all the other dudes on your squad can live up to the production and example you're setting for the team.
All that being said, what really impressed me today with Cal Raleigh was it was set up for him to have another moment like he did at the end of last year, where they're asking him about looking forward to the future after the game, asking about the season, and you could see him restraining himself from
Mm.
having a boondock moment. That's not what I want to call it, but for but for purposes outside of my control, that's what we're gonna rock with. He showed ultimate restraint today to not blow up again because blowing up was going to get him nowhere. That guy's the captain of this team. He deserves better. Logan deserves better. Wu deserves better. Miller deserves better. Get the help that's necessary to get us over the hump, or we will spend the last Sunday in September having this conversation until the front office is no longer in power.
Oh,
And I
and the
really ain't
fans
got
deserve
nothing else to
better.
that. They do. They do. They do. You invest your hard-earned money in this. You invest your time.
And yeah,
You
we
invest
like
your
the fans
energy.
work their asses off in their everyday lives to spend the money for your product. Dude, just make the people feel appreciated about it, man.
Fireworks and bobbleheads aren't the cure all to everything, man.
Ugh.
And they
I
feel that
have
that's
I
all
have
that
a
they
friend
need.
on Facebook who must have been at the game Saturday night, and they posted a video of the fireworks show, and I did not comment on it because I didn't feel like raining on her parade, shitting on her fun, and all that sort of stuff. But man, I sure wanted to.
Right? Right? Hey, thanks for staying with us. And it's just a couple innings go a different way. We don't blow the lead in Kansas City. We don't blow the lead in Texas. This is a completely different conversation. But there's just some things you can't leave up to chance. At least that's the way that I feel. No one's going to make the move necessary for you to achieve greatness other than you. This is just one of those moments where, and maybe, and if I'm wrong, chat, y'all tell me. But we're it's almost like we have this wish on a star mentality where they really think this is the major league movie and bringing guys in who can't do what it is they're supposed to do. Well, let me say that differently. I can't even put my words together. Just frustrated tonight. Just frustrated tonight.
Mhm.
Just
I really just have one more thing I want to get off my chest, and I
get it,
alluded
man.
to it last week, but there was a couple of players I forgot about that the live chat and you yourself, RG, mentioned. So just doing the quick math in my brain right now, ownership pisses me off, but the front office can't waste nearly $60 million of underproduction. Julio, we need more. JP, we need way more. The double Mitchwich, Polanco, Stanek, Urias. I'm I might even be forgetting a couple of guys now, but in my quick math in my head, we have about 55, maybe $60 million of massive unproduction. The front office has to be culpable for it. Jerry's just going to laugh it off. He got his contract extension. I get it. But the bottom line is the organization has to do better, or this window is going to completely fly by and we're going to miss it.
Absolutely, man. Absolutely, absolutely. And I like J.P. Crawford, but I think that dude might have played himself out of a job this year. He definitely is on the expendable list now, and
Yeah.
that's sad to see after the year he had last year.
My huge problem is I have a few guys that are completely expendable, but what was it? Mariners Lifer was telling me no one's going to trade for the Mitchwich. No one's going to trade for JP right now because those are expensive ass players that can't even hit 200. So that's why I was saying that maybe the Mariners will be backed into a corner and we're going to have to make one of those shitty trade a prospect just to unload a contract type of situation to free up money to try to get someone that's legit. We can really go into the targets as the winter goes on. We can get into football a lot deeper in the weeds. Mariners lifer. Hey, we got a couple of shortstops waiting in the wings. I mean, we've been sitting on JP forever, and it's not like we don't like the guy. We all love JP, but this is a production based business, and if you're not helping the team win, you're not going to keep your job for long. At least that's how it should be. But Mariners land's a little
It's
different than the
it's not
cutthroat
personal.
organizations. Oh
It's
hell no!
never personal. It's
I
just
love
business.
JP. I love Julio. I love Mitch Haniger. It breaks my heart to see him fall off a cliff like this, but guess what?
Mhm.
It happened.
You stick around long enough, the game gets rid of you before you're willing to get rid of the game.
Damn right. Probably like what 0.1% of pro athletes retire on their own terms. like the 99.9% of the rest of them get told one way or the other, we don't want you anymore.
Lots remain to be seen. It's going to be a very treacherous offseason. Like I said, if you're not for this, is not going to be by the faint of heart. Grab you a Tylenol. You may need it.
Shout out to my homie Keith. I could only imagine how angry he is right now.
Mm, sir. My oh my, it's another sports podcast brought to you by Vaden Podcast Services. Be sure to follow us on our socials at my oh my ASP. You can find us on YouTube, Twitch, live each and every Sunday. Follow us on Facebook, TikTok, anywhere you like to get your content from. If you can't be a part of this live show, the audio recording is always available for you no later than Tuesday afternoon on wherever you like to get your favorite podcast services from. As always, a big special shout out to our social media ambassador director, Miss Katie Matsumoto. Thank you for all you do to help get us out here into the people. The live chat that you make this thing possible, you help this thing run. We got up to some pretty good numbers tonight listening, looking at the people who are reviewing. Hey, you're the ones helping us be able to keep going to get this thing done. Man, I got to give a shout out to our super producer, Indy, coming to you from Nashville, Tennessee, making us look and sound like $1,000,000. Don't forget to check out his music page, Death to Indy, on YouTube and go support some of the work that he's been putting in. Man, I got the greatest tag team partner in the world, baby. We're better than Harlem Heat, the Legion of Doom, better than Heartbreak Kid and Triple H, baby. We are the new Degeneration X. That's my man, Ty Talks 24, repping it to you live from Little Lake, Stevens, Washington. I'm that dude, RG. We hope you come and join us each and every week for another episode of My Oh My. It's another sports podcast. We out.